On this video, we're going to be talking about our third section up here. Of course, it's going to be the first section that we are going to color. And what is needed right there are three warm colors. So I'm going to get out my color wheel. We're going to look at this a little bit. So we'll talk a lot about a little bit of colors that you could combine right there. So the warm colors, typically, what you're going to find are going to be your yellow, green, all the way to your red violet. So any of those, any combination of those would work really well. You wouldn't necessarily have to stay in order. Like you could do your yellow green and you could do your red violet, and if you want to throw in an orange, you can definitely do something like that. What I did was what I thought typically you guys might do. I included yellow, green, yellow, and then yellow, orange on mine. So we're going to talk about the process of doing this. This is how the end result should look. So if you look at this, you've got white, which is going to be in the center. That's that little highlight. Now I did trickle in just a little bit of that yellow right there. And then I go yellow, and I did my yellow green here, and then I did my orange right there, my yellow orange right there. So y'all are welcome to include more than three warm colors, but I would say that's just the minimum of what you would need to do. So the way that I actually started on this thing, I did a base tone of yellow. So I usually try to stick with a light color, usually a primary color, just like I did here with the cherry. I chose a red and I went from there, because those usually will mix well with the other colors that you guys are going to add. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just, at this point, pretty much ignore this. I'm probably going to trickle in a little bit of my yellow on this. I'm sort of touching on that, but I'm going to go really super duper light on this outer layer that's leading up to that point, and I'm just sort of circling my colored pencil around there. Okay, and then I'm going to get a little bit darker as I go, and I'm still trying to stick with the circles. All right, and in my outer layer, I'm going to get a little bit heavier, a little bit darker, so I'm pressing down just a little bit harder on this one. It's very, very hard, I think, in general, for you guys to see what I'm doing because I'm using yellow. So hopefully you kind of grasp what happened whenever I used the red. At least you can see that a little bit better. But hopefully you can tell that it's definitely heavier here. At least you may not can tell so much between the other two. So I'm gonna bleed that just a little bit into my white, not much there. So the next color that I'm going to do, if you look at this right here, I chose to do the yellow green right there, and then I ended up with the orange. So I'm just going to, I'm leaving this little layer, the layer nearest to this white area, I'm just leaving this the way that it is for right now. So I'm going to start right here with my yellow green. I'm doing it around the edge here, and I'm actually making it a little bit darker around the edge. And then I'm going to just kind of fade it and make it lighter as I almost touch this little layer. You're welcome to trickle into that other layer just a little bit if you need to. And you're more than likely, you know, if you want to trickle that into this, I'm kind of going into just a little bit, that little outer heavier layer that I'm going to end up putting my yellow orange right there. So these little boundaries that we drew, you know, it's just to help you to know where to lay your colors and where your light and darks should start, but there's no rule that says you can't go outside of the lines if you want to do something like that. Okay, so that's how that looks. So you can see I let up as you get towards this little area. Now, if it's too much of a jump, I can always go back and make my yellow just a little bit heavier in the area that I left yellow, just around the edge right there. So feel free to use what you did before on those things. Okie dokie. It looks like I need to do this little part right here. All right, now I'm going to go into this with my orange. So I'm going to start around this edge, and then I'm going to let up as I get towards the green area. So you can see this is kind of relatively heavy-ish. I'm making my circles there and blending, and I'm letting off as I go towards the green. I'm kind of outlining with circles right here. And then I'm very lightly blending into the green area. I could come down here if I wanted to add just a little bit there. And I'll add just a little bit here in this little spot right there. So at this point, what you're going to need to do is just evaluate and figure out, you know, is this really what you want? Is this what you want this thing to look like? If you're wanting to make anything bolder, let's just say you're wanting to make your yellow stand out a little bit more. You can go back into it. You can introduce it just a little bit more to this little central area. I'm trying to leave the majority of this central area though white, because that is my highlighted area. And you're welcome to go back to and bump up your orange if you want some more contrast. So there's that one, and here is this one right here. They're very similar in nature. So next little one, we're going to do this little second layer here.